Hey everybody, it's Anthony Veltri from CascadeWebCoach.com, and today we're going to talk about registering a domain name and setting up web hosting for that domain name. If you go to CascadeWebCoach.com, click on the Resources tab, you can then click on Web Hosting. What that'll do is take you over to our GoDaddy affiliate page, and you can register a domain name and set up web hosting. One of the advantages of that is, number one, it helps us out, but number two, you can choose to designate me as an account executive. And if you run into problems, you can give me permission to log in and see if I can't help you out a little bit. So that being said, let me talk about what I'm doing here today. So once you have a username and password, once you've set up an account, you can actually acquire a large portfolio of domain names. And what I'm going to show you today is starting from scratch. I'm not going to log in using my username. I'm going to create a whole new one where there's nothing set up at all. And so first I want to tell you a little bit about what I'm going to do with this domain. Why am I registering this domain? So in 2005, I was actually one of the first responders on the scene after the landfall of Hurricane Katrina in the Gulf Coast. I was a member of a federal urban search and rescue task force, was charged with rescue and recovery efforts down there, and it was a life-changing experience. And I actually took a bunch of photographs while I was deployed there as well, and I published a book after returning in December of 2005, and it was a traditional print hardcover book, and I want to convert it into a e-reader format now. So what I'm doing is I'm going to register a domain to help market that book. Because even after so many years, it's still really important to get the message about what rescue and response crews do, and that's what the book is focused on. So anyway, the title of the book was Katrina, or is Katrina, A Journey of Hope. And so I'm going to see if A Journey of Hope is available. And just because I want to see how efficient we can be, I'm going to start the clock. Okay, we'll click on search. I doubt that the .com is going to be available, but we'll have some other choices if it's not. So anyway, you can see .com is not available. .info I've already added to my cart, and for this book, I would really wish that the .org was available, but unfortunately, that's not available either. So I'm just going to go with the .info for now, and let's continue on. Another kind of nifty thing, though, is when you put in a domain name, you get suggestions about what might otherwise be available, stuff that you might not have thought about. And then it also advertises premium domains that somebody owns that they might, want to sell to you. I wouldn't even bother with that, but this is a really useful tool right here if you're searching for a domain name. So anyway, let's continue on to registration. And what's going to happen right here is it's going to try and offer you a whole bunch of add-ons. And right now I'm going to tell you what you can ignore and what you might want to pay attention to. So all of these add-ons right here, just say no to those. You don't need any of those. The default registration comes out to 2 years, but what you want to do is save yourself some money and put that back to 1 year like that. And this option right here, certified versus uncertified domain, that is a completely unnecessary add-on. Unless you really just want to spend that additional $2.99 a year, just keep it as is. So let's move along to the next section. These you can leave as the default because you're going to be picking up hosting here, and this one you can leave that as default as well. What that'll do is that'll automatically renew your domain using the credit card that you registered it with when it comes up for renewal next year. So it's kind of nice. It'll also send you an email if your credit card expires. But Here's a section that we do need to pay attention to. So a little piece of information that you might not be aware of is that anytime you register a domain name, the details about the person who registers that domain name, or the entity, the company that registers that domain name, is by default publicly available. You can go search this whois.net database, and we'll have to have a whole nother posting describing that. And you can get basic contact information, sort of similar to what you'd find in the telephone book, but for the person who owns that domain. So for instance, if you run a blog that you want to keep yourself anonymous, this is not the option you want. You'd want to select the private registration. That being said, this option right here, you don't need to spend that money on that. So these are the two options that you want to pay attention to. Right now we're going to leave that as default, and we're going to click on Next. So right here, what you want to do is you want to choose a hosting package. You can ignore the email. You don't need to set that up. You do want to select a hosting package. And the way I like to go is you start out small, and if you need to expand, you go up from there. There's no need to select the big one and move down. So you start small and you move up as you grow. SSL certificate, we're not going to need to utilize that right now either, but it's nice to have the option to install one if you need to. So right here, it's going to prompt us again to give us a little sale on the private registration. If we want to do that, we can do it right now. We're not going to do that, however. So let's just continue to check out. And it appears as if I'm already logged in. So it wants me to create my password right here. It cached the details from the previous time I was playing around here, but this is a completely new account for me. So just ask me to confirm my password, and I'm just gonna put in that information right there. Now this is a call-in pin. One of the really nice things about this is that you can actually call in and speak to a live person via telephone, and when you do, they will ask you for your 4-digit PIN. So it's really good to put that in. I'm gonna just put something in there for right now, and we'll change that later, obviously. So right here, some additional details. I would leave these on the default right now. This first one is basically critical stuff about your account. This is saying, hey, your credit card's about to expire. Do we have permission to contact you to let you know your domain, is going to go away if you don't pay for it? You want to leave that on. Offers related to your purchase. So these would actually be coming directly from me. I'd ask that you leave it as yes, but I won't be offended if you change it to no. This right here, I would leave as default. Leave no. And this one right here, I don't plan on sending you anything via mail, so just click that over to no as well. And let's continue to check out. All right, so I'm going to block this screen while I enter my credit card details here. I'm sure no one will be offended by that. Now, these options right here, I would suggest that you click both of these. And what this will do is it will store the credit card within the GoDaddy servers. And when it comes up for renewal a year from now, you won't have to enter it again. Completely optional. Click on Select Terms of Service and click Place Order. All right. And there we have it. We're done. Thank you very much for checking out the CascadeWebCoach.com. This is Anthony Veltri, and we'll talk to you soon.